everyone, and welcome to today's workshop. I'm Becky, and today we're going to be talking all about how to take control of your online reputation so that you can drive more sales and revenue in your lawn or landscape business. Reviews play a massive role in how homeowners choose who they hire, and today's session is going to walk you through how to make sure your company stands out as the trusted choice in your service area. Scott from our team is going to walk you through.
Thanks, Becky. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining on today's session. We're here talking all about how to take control of your online reputation so you can drive more sales and revenue in your lawn or landscape business. And we all know that reviews is where it's at, right? Your online reputation can make or break your business. What we're going to share are some great insights on how you can go beyond the tools you already have, how you can think more creatively about how to really take control of your online reputation and spread the good word about your company, and make sure that you're the lawn or landscape company of choice in your service area. As people sort of trickle in, I want to do a quick poll. If you're already using some kind of review generation tool in your business, I'd love if you could paste the name into the chat, whether it's Nearby Now, Nice Job, Review Buzz, or something else. Maybe you have Jobber and they have some kind of automated thing. If you're using one of those, just type the name of that into the chat. If you aren't using anything, just type none into the chat. While you guys type that in, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen, so just bear with me here. Okay, excellent. Oops. Go. Okay, now this is part of our overall growth engine for lawn and landscape companies. Throughout the year, we carve out one module at a time on this topic, from getting your website set up, to making sure you're ranking more organically, to making sure you're tapping into paid search, and the various online lead generation opportunities that are available to you. This growth engine is what we coined as the process you can use to maximize your lead flow and profitability across the internet. So today's session focuses on a micro topic that's mission critical: online reviews. It fits nicely into this growth engine in a couple of places. It fits in from an SEO perspective because your reviews have a direct impact on your rankings, especially on the Google Maps. It also fits in from a conversion perspective. When somebody gets to your website, why should they choose you versus the competition? It also fits into your overall marketing plan, because at the end of the day, whether you're advertising via internet marketing, direct mail, billboards, or brand advertising, your customer is going to look you up, right? They're going to look at your online reviews before making the call in a lot of cases. So this is where it fits into the big picture of your overall internet marketing strategy. So just some house rules, if you guys don't mind. Let's turn off the cell phones. Let's close out Facebook if it's running in the background, unless, of course, you're watching this on Facebook. And if you're really serious about getting better results in your lawn or landscape business, getting more reviews, getting more high quality reviews, this next 45 to 60 minutes could be a real game changer for you guys. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk a little bit about why you can have the best review tools in the world. At the beginning of the session, we were talking about the review tools you might be using: Nice Job, Review Buzz, Nearby Now, or maybe it's baked into whatever CRM you have like Jobber. But sometimes you can still fail to consistently generate online reviews. We're going to talk about why that is and how to solve for it. We're also going to talk about how to tap into the power of multi-channel communication. A lot of us think in terms of email. The fact is, your customers are getting a lot of emails, right? And many of them could care less about email. What we really want to do is reach to them through multiple channels. We want to touch them via SMS. We want to connect with them on the platforms they already use. And we want to make sure that the tool you're using has that capability and you're actually using it. Because what I find is a lot of these platforms already have these features. They've implemented the ability to communicate via SMS text message. They've implemented the ability to communicate through apps. But many times we just don't have those features activated on them, on the platforms we're already using. We're also going to talk about how online reviews, more than anything else, are a team sport, right? To succeed, you have to have your entire team on board with this. We're going to talk about how you can bake online reviews and reputation management into the culture of your team, and why you have to acknowledge and respond to all of your reviews too: the good, the bad, and the indifferent. A lot of us have latched onto this idea that we need reviews because they make us look good. We need reviews because they help with rankings, but we're not really paying attention to the reviews when they come in. We're not acknowledging them in a public space. And if we do respond, a lot of times we only deal with the negative ones, right? So we want to make sure we've got a strategy in place where we're proactively addressing all reviews: the good, the bad, and the indifferent. At the end, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can have this taking care of you completely turnkey so you can focus on providing that great service, focus on doing what you do best, and let your reputation speak for itself. Before we get too deep into the training, if we haven't met before, I'm Scott Coullard with webSURGE Landscape Marketing. Our agency has been around for more than 20 years, but before I was building websites or managing ad campaigns, I personally spent about 6 years out on lawn crew, early mornings, long days, dealing with weather and tight schedules. I know firsthand how demanding this industry can be. When we first launched the company, we worked with all kinds of businesses, moving companies, roofers, dentists, even some industrial firms. But over time, we started noticing a pattern. The marketing systems we built were delivering especially strong results for lawn and landscape companies. So we leaned into the green industry and made the decision to focus specifically on this industry. But since then, we've worked with lawn and landscape companies across different markets, and we've been able to see what consistently drives lead flow and growth for these businesses, not ideas that sound good on paper or something we've read on ChatGPT, strategies that actually move the needle and hold up in competitive markets. So everything we're sharing today comes from that experience, the strategies we've tested, the adjustments we've made along the way, and the systems that continue to work for companies like yours. As we go, I'm going to walk through some real examples so you can kind of connect the dots and see how this plays out in the field and how you could apply it in your own market. And this is what we do as a company at webSURGE Landscape Marketing. We're a full-service digital marketing agency that works specifically with lawn and landscape businesses. And our mission is to help 100 landscape contractors double their revenue. A big part of how we do that is through trainings like this one here. The goal isn't to just throw a bunch of marketing buzzwords at you. It's actually to give you practical ideas and clear strategies you can actually use inside your business. Now, if at some point you decide you like help implementing some of this instead of trying to build it all yourself, we're always happy to have that conversation. We'd be glad to look at what you've got going on and see if there's a way we could help you put these strategies to work. So there's no pressure around that at all. What we'll do is take a quick look at what you're currently doing from a marketing standpoint, talk about what's already working, maybe highlight a few areas where there might be opportunities to improve or get better results. If you're watching the training and you're thinking, it'd be nice to have someone take a second look at what we've got going on, offer a couple of tips, we're more than happy to do that. You can schedule a complimentary session at wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule. Mark or Becky, could you please drop a link into the chat? If it's easier, you guys can also just scan the QR code. It'll take you right there too. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why. Why do these sessions? I always like to start by thinking about why this is mission critical. Why is this important? Why is it worth you guys taking 45 minutes to an hour out of your day during this busy season to hear a session about reviews? And really, to me, it's important because the opportunity or the issue is this. Online reviews and your reputation can make or break your company. If you've got lots of good, positive reviews, it's going to make you more profitable. It'll make all of your marketing more effective. It'll make closing deals, closing jobs out in the fields much easier. Now, the contrast to that is it can also break you, right? If you've got a high percentage of negative reviews, if you've got something like a 3-star average or less on the platforms, whether it's Google, Angie's List, or Yelp, that can have a massively negative impact on your conversion rate from your leads. So this is really that important. It can truly make or break your lawn or landscape company. The other reason is a lot of times your online reputation doesn't actually reflect the quality of services you provide. And I know you guys on this webinar take this very seriously. It's why you're taking this time to level up your business here. You're passionate about your company. You're passionate about providing a great service. You're passionate about growing your business and expanding. In a lot of cases, despite the great work you do, the training you do with your crews, the thing you do to try to go above and beyond, sometimes that just doesn't get reflected accurately in the online review profiles. Sometimes we're doing good on one platform, but not the other. We might be doing really good on Google in terms of our average star rating, but then when we look at Yelp, it looks bad. And it's just not representative of the kind of company that we run. Or if we look on Facebook, for some reason, there are a couple of scars against us. So we really want to solve for this. How do we make sure we've got all the right pieces in place to reflect the amazing company that we are on our online profiles and the other online review sites? And the other big reason this is a challenge is a lot of us have invested in some tools around this, but we're still not driving enough reviews. We've invested in tools like Nearby Now, Review Buzz, Podium, Nice Job, Pulse M. Again, maybe your CRM like Jobber has something built in, There's a lot of different review tools out there, and we tend to think it's all about the tool. If we get this cool, fancy tool that sends out the review request for us, that'll solve all our problems. But in reality, it's much more than just the tools. Yes, it helps if we got the tools. Yes, it helps if we leverage those tools correctly into their fullest, but it's going to go further than that. And so really, if we can't solve for this, what's going to happen is your online reputation can drag down all of your other marketing. And the fact is, you can have an amazing marketing strategy. You can be multi-channel, your branding can look great, your rankings and SEO can work really well. But if you've got a negative reputation on any of the major sites, that can drag everything down. And what's even more frustrating is you can watch customers go to your competitors, not because you're not the better company, but because they don't feel like you're the quality operation they want to do business with. And so that creates a pretty cool opportunity, actually, because if we can solve for that, we can separate ourselves from the competition, and we can really stand out by doing a couple of things better, especially when it comes to focusing on our reputation, than our competitors do. We can be the provider of choice, stand out in our service area, really stand out from that competition, and that's what we want. When somebody's looking for your services in your service area, you want to be the obvious choice. More reviews, more 5-star reviews, more authenticity, because the fact is they don't just look at the star rating and the count anymore. They start to read the most recent reviews. They want to see, was this a real person? Was this a real experience? And did the people on the other side of the business even notice? Did they care? Did they interact after that review was posted? When you do that well, you can really stand out from the competition. We can make sure that we leverage the tools we have to the fullest. And I think most of these tools are more than adequate. If we use them consistently, if we use them well, if we go cross-channel, if we leverage automation. I'm going to show you some amazing case studies and what can happen when you start to automate the review request process right at the time the job is booked. That's some pretty cool stuff. And really what we ultimately want is for our reputation to speak for itself, for it to be clear that we do great work, that we take care of our customers, that we really care about the experience they have, and that we care about the fact that they took the time to post a review in the first place. And really, again, if we solve for this, if we use our tools correctly, we can stand out online, we can become the go-to lawn or landscape company in our area, we can rank better because we have that reputation, and we can maximize our conversion rates, make it so that every dollar we spend in marketing across the entire spectrum of our marketing strategy goes that much further, generates that many more leads, and generates that many more sales on our behalf. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Again, this is meant to be interactive. How many of you guys, tell me in the chat, you feel, yes, if we get this dialed in, it could have a pretty massive impact on your results. Go ahead and pop just a 1 in the chat. If yes, I'm with you, this sounds great, just to make sure we're tracking along. Give me some interaction there in the chat box, guys. Okay, got a 1 from Mark, excellent. Let's keep going along. So again, do online reviews matter? I don't even think I need to harp on this point. You guys wouldn't be on a training about reviews if you didn't think that they mattered. But here's what the stats tell us. The stats tell us that 84% of people trust online reviews as much as they do personal recommendations. And that's kind of shocking, right? Years ago, it was all about the personal recommendation, the word of mouth. But today, people believe what they're reading on Google, Angie's List, and other review sites, and ChatGPT and AI platforms too, just as much as they trust a personal recommendation. Most of us have heard a stat kind of similar to that, but the stat that most of us haven't heard is 77% of customers think reviews are more than 3 months old aren't relevant. So you can have 550 reviews, but if the most recent one was 6 months ago, that's going to count against you in terms of your conversion rates. So it's not just about having 5 stars. It's not just about having lots of reviews. It's about having recency in your reviews, having new reviews being posted on a consistent basis. And I think the rationale behind that, people kind of start to think maybe things have changed in the company. Maybe one of their crew members left. Maybe something changed and that's why they don't have any recent reviews. Maybe they're not as good of a company anymore. So yeah, online reviews are absolutely mission critical. And really, if you look at this, let's pull up a real world example here. So here's a sample Google search I'll use to walk you through this. When somebody wants to find a lawn or landscape company, what are they doing? Let's say I type in landscaping East Syracuse, New York. So I'm looking for a lawn or landscape company in East Syracuse. I run the search and I see my options. Up at the top, I've got local service ads, paid listings, organic listings. Naturally, I'm going to gravitate towards the companies that rank the best, the ones at the top. Our client here that we're highlighting is showing up in 3 out of the 6 results, which is great. As a potential customer, I'm not going to miss them. But the thing I'm going to do before I decide, regardless of how often they show up there, I'm going to go look at their reputation. How good is this company? The way your customer decides that is based on the number of reviews you have and what those reviews look like. So naturally, they're going to click in and take a closer look. They're going to say, okay, what do the reviews say? So here are the reviews that come up. Rick, 5 stars. Working with them to help me bring my garden back to life has been a pleasure. Karen, 5 stars. They provided a design and resources that work perfectly with limitations of our unique landscape. The neighbors are thrilled as well. You can't ask for a better review than that, right? Always saves the day for me, etc. One thing you'll notice, which is really cool too, is not only do they have the reviews here, but the customers went out of their way to take the photos of the work that they completed. This is customer-generated content, which holds massive trust in the eyes of your prospects. So it's really important to realize sometimes your potential customers are going to actually search you by name. Other times they might see your ad, and then they're going to go search you by name. And what they're looking for is what do your reviews say about you before they make that call. And I just want you to see, as a function of the Google Map listing alone, which is where your Google reviews are going to show up, in that one area, they had 101 leads tracked directly from Google Maps. So when you look at their overall marketing strategy, in this case, they spent about $3,700 across SEO, pay-per-click, marketing management services. That generated 167 leads at an average cost of $22.41 per lead. So that's pretty solid for that market. And those leads broke down across organic, pay-per-click, Google Maps. But here's the key point I want to get across, for the purpose of the training here. Because they had those 5-star reviews on their listing, and because the quality of those reviews were really strong, they ranked well. They had a prominent position on maps. And because of that, they were able to generate 101 leads directly from the Google Map listing. So this really illustrates the point. When you rank on maps, when you've got a great online reputation, that alone can generate a lot of leads, a lot of calls, and a lot of volume for your business. So as we continue here, again, I want to keep this interactive and hear from you guys in the comments. I want to ask you this question. Do your reviews actually represent how good your company is, or not even close? Drop good into the chat if they represent you well, or not even close into the chat, depending on where you land. Love you guys to type that in. Mark, pretty good. Excellent work, man. Go get more of them. Thanks for interacting with me, guys. I do that because it kind of helps you think and prioritize. It also helps me get feedback from you, kind of keeps the energy of the group going. Desmond says his first season, perfect time to get some reviews as you're getting new customers, especially as spring is opening up here. So let's dive into 5 key principles when it comes to reviews to help you really control, manage, and maximize your online reputation. The first is you want to make sure you provide a world-class experience to your customers. And I lead with this because it's not about the tools. It's not about fancy technology. It all starts with a world-class experience. It starts with a friendly crew, having them professionally dressed, showing up on time, providing great service, and then setting the expectation that a follow-up is going to come into play. That's the first thing, and this is what you guys do. You're all focused on creating a world-class experience, so I'm not going to go too deep on this. I just want you to realize, it's not just about the tools, it's about the experience you create for your customers. Number 2 is you want to build reviews and reputation management into your company culture. And what I find looking at a lot of clients we work with, the ones that have the most reviews, the ones that have the most momentum, they provide a great service. Yes, they use the tools, and I'll get into that a little bit more, but they've baked this concept into their culture. And there's a couple of things I know to be true. First, what you measure always improves. What you track and what you measure always improves. And if you think about your own life, if you track your finances, you get better control of your budget. If you track your calories, you track your macros, if you track your weight, you start to get it under control. It's a proven principle. What you track and measure improves. So third, what you celebrate, you get more of. And this also goes along with company culture. If you take the time to celebrate wins, to celebrate successes, to attract more of that into your business, people want to be recognized. The people on your crews love recognition, and they love competition too. They thrive on it. There's tons of studies that show people are more motivated by recognition in front of their peers than they are even by money. So if you've heard those before, those principles, go ahead and give me a 1 in the chat. These are proven principles. And the companies that get the best results tap into them. They track their online reviews. They have a mechanism to say, okay, here's how many reviews we got. Here's where they came from. And then here's what generated them. And then they build it into their meeting rhythm. Some of you guys do daily huddles. Some of you do weekly meetings. Some of you do monthly team gatherings. What works best is bringing the team together and acknowledging the positive reviews that came in. Celebrate those wins, celebrate that positive feedback, because when you celebrate it, you get more of it. And gamify the process, recognize your team members. Hey, Johnny got 10 5-star reviews this month. He did an amazing job. Maybe we make him employee of the month and give him a little bonus this month. The clients that have done that have done amazing at producing more reviews. But, more than that, acknowledge him in front of his peers. And when you start doing this, when you start to track it, when you start to acknowledge it, when you celebrate it, your team's going to go out of their way to provide that world-class experience. They're going to go out of their way to take care of customers. They're going to go that extra step. And they're going to make sure those customers leave that 5-star review. When that happens and it becomes part of the culture, the number of reviews will increase significantly. Your average rating will improve significantly. And that's going to drive your company forward. More revenue, more sales, better return on investment from all your marketing. Your company makes more money, you make more money. So you have to build this into your company culture. Ready? Number 3 is leverage best-in-class tools after every property visit and make sure they communicate using all the channels. There's been a big shift over the last several years. If you go back, it used to be phone and direct mail. You'd send a thank you card after the service call, perhaps in the mail. You'd send a survey request. Then it shifted to email, right? We could communicate via email. People checked email. They responded to email. But now email is saturated. A lot of people have hundreds of thousands of unread emails. And I'm sure you guys are inundated as well. So deliverability is down. Engagement is down. But what's up? Text messaging. Everyone has their cell phones. Everyone sees their messages. Quick question for the group. How many of you guys have less than 5 unread text messages right now? Type 5 into the chat if that's you. There's been a massive shift to text messaging. So you want to make sure you're leveraging tools that send review requests after every property visit and that you're communicating via email. Yes, still use it, but also SMS text messaging. With all of that said on the digital side, don't forget about the physical touch points either. A lot of companies will think, okay, we've got this automated review request, so I don't need anything else. But you don't want to abandon what's always worked either. We found that what works best for this is a really simple little review card. Train your crew to say, thank you so much for your business. It was an honor to serve you today. If you'd be willing, we'd appreciate you taking a couple minutes to leave us a review. You're going to get an email and a text message. Here's a card with a quick little QR code if you want to scan that and do it now. And if you could mention my name, I'd really appreciate it. And that combination is powerful, that multi-channel combination. Then you also want to make sure you're tapping into the apps your customers already use. And believe it or not, people already have the Google app installed on their phone. In some cases, the Angie's app even, sometimes the Thumbtack app. So your system, the automated side, the digital side, should send the request. And if they're already logged into those platforms, it's going to push them directly to the platform to leave a review, not through some complex, convoluted process where they click a button over here, it tells them to click somewhere else. Then they have to log in just to post a review. What we have to do is make sure we're reducing friction. They're already going out of their way to leave a review. It needs to be simple. They get a text message, they click the button, and now they're typing. That's it. So you want to make sure you run your tools through the paces yourself, test it yourself, experience what your customer experiences after they do business with you. What do those emails look like? What do the text messages look like? Is the link actually working? Where does it take you when you click it? Make sure you're hitting all those key points there. So the 5th and often overlooked is to make sure you acknowledge and respond to every review. A lot of us are focused on getting reviews. We know they help generate more leads. We know they help convert more opportunities. But when the review comes in, sometimes we don't even see them, good, bad, or indifferent. We don't have a mechanism to track and know when a review happens. A lot of times we only react to the negative ones. We see a bad review and we think, okay, let's call the customer. Let's try to resolve this offline. If needed, let's post a professional response. Let's go to ChatGPT and ask it how we should respond to this review. So we handle the negative reviews, but what often gets missed is responding to the positive ones. thanking them. A simple personal message can go a long way in deepening that relationship with the customer. If they took the time to write a review on Yelp, thank them on Yelp. If they wrote a review on Google, acknowledge them there. That creates a deeper connection. They get notified that you responded, and that has a real psychological impact on them. Because when someone else is reading reviews, they don't just see 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. They also see that you took the time to stop to respond, to acknowledge, to thank them. It shows that you're a company that cares about the customer experience, that you're attentive, and that you truly appreciate your customers. So make sure you're acknowledging and responding to every review you get. And here's a little bonus tip, kind of a little hack. Every review you get is a chance to market your business. So when you reply to your reviews online, you want to sprinkle in your service and locations, like this. Thanks so much for choosing us for your yard cleanup in Springfield, Mr. Lee. So glad we could help your lawn bounce back this season. It sounds natural, it's helpful, and it quietly boosts your local SEO with every single reply. So I'm going to check in again. We've got a little bit more to cover in the talk here, but out of these principles I just covered, these 5 principles, and they're on the screen here if you need a quick reminder of what we talked about, which one do you feel like you need to work on the most? Which one stands out? Maybe it's we just need to start asking for reviews, or, we need to bake this into our culture a little bit more. Maybe we need to acknowledge our crew more. Maybe we need to refine our process or look into some tools. Maybe we just need to make sure we're responding to all of our reviews. So help me out here, guys. Out of these principles, in terms of taking control of your online reputation and driving more sales, what resonates with you the most? What do you feel like you need to focus on the most? Drop that in the chat. You can type it out or even just drop the number. Mark says 2, 4, and 5. Excellent. Desmond says 2. Michael says 1. Reginald says 1 to 4. Thanks for sharing, guys. I always like to kind of give you the good news on the side of asking a tough question like this. Awareness precedes change. That's one of my favorite quotes from one of my mentors. So we're aware of kind of where the gap is, but now we have this awesome opportunity in front of us to improve. So great feedback. I really appreciate you guys sharing that. Okay, so let's talk about how to make this a reality moving forward here. So first of all, we want to make sure we leverage the tools and that a review request goes out after every property visit. At a minimum, invest in one of the platforms. There's a lot of them. Review Buzz, Podium, Birdeye, PulseM, Nice Job. Those are kind of standalone. And then sometimes your CRM like Jobber's going to have its own thing you can use. So there's a lot of different options. They're all pretty good. You can just pick one of them. It's not about, which one's better than the other. It's about making sure you're actually using them. Making sure you're requesting a review after every call, after every property visit. That's being sent via email and text message. And then you also want to commit to having some type of printed card your crew carries with them. Something physical goes a long way. Train your crew on how to ask, and you can role play with this with them too. How do you thank the customer with your crew? How do you plant the seed that your company thrives on online reviews? And here's like a simple script. So, hey, thanks so much for your business, Jane Doe. If you'd be willing, we'd really appreciate you leaving us a review. Train your crew to confidently make that ask, plant the seed. And you can get about at least a 20% bump in reviews month over month just by having a simple conversation with your team. In one of your meetings, you can say, hey guys, we need you to start requesting reviews after every property visit. Will you help plant that seed for us? And that alone can go a long way. Also, kind of a more advanced technique, but is extremely powerful, is a phone call requesting a review after the service. And here's what that process looks like. So the crew goes out, they create a great experience, they plant the seed, the world-class experience, they leave the review card behind, or they have them scan the QR code. Then an email goes out, a text message goes out, all the things we've talked about. And then to take that one step further, someone in the office makes a call. Some companies call these happy calls. You can call it whatever you want, but the call kind of sounds like this. Hey, thanks so much for your business. Just wanted to make sure our crew did a great job for you. Was there any feedback for us? And by the way, we just sent you a text and an email asking if you'd be willing to leave us a review. Would you be willing to do that? If they say yes, great. Let me walk you through that. Go ahead and open the email, click the link, and you guide them through the process. And you'd be amazed at how effective that is. Think about your own life. You're busy, you got a lot going on. Maybe you got kids running around like crazy. You might have a great experience at a restaurant or a car dealer, or maybe even a service tech in your own home. you fully intend to leave that company a review. You get the email, you think, okay, I'll do that later, but later never comes. Imagine someone calls you up and says, hey, just wanted to check in. By the way, we sent that review request. Did you get it? Yeah, I got it. Would you be willing to do it now? Sure. Great. I'll walk you through it. Now there's a little bit of positive pressure in the moment, and they actually do it. They're either going to open it on their desktop computer from their email or click the SMS text link on their phone and complete the review right then and there. That's a small investment in your office team's time. It can just kind of be part of your regular process, but it can pay huge dividends in the number of reviews you generate. So again, build reviews and recognition into your culture. Make sure you're leveraging all communication channels, email, text message, the physical channels like mailing them or using the card to maximize the number of reviews you guys get. Okay. Next thing I found that has a massive impact on increasing the number of reviews is leveraging automation. A lot of you are using platforms like LMN, Jobber, Service Autopilot, Aspire. You're booking jobs there, you're closing jobs there, you're collecting revenue there. And for a long time, the process to send a review request was manual. You had to go into another platform, enter the name, enter the email address, enter the phone number, and click submit. That had to be done by someone in the office, or by your crew in the field. And that's going to create some friction in the process, right? A large percentage of the time, sometimes 50% or more, the job does get completed, but no review request ever goes out. Even though the tool is sitting there ready for it, the training is there, the incentives are there. But now with automation, integrations exist, just different connections to the different tools. So with platforms like Nearby Now, Review Buzz, Nice Job, when you close the job in your system, that automatically triggers the next step. The email goes out, the SMS message goes out, the request to leave a review is sent immediately. No manual steps. And if you're not doing this, again, it's a massive opportunity. It simplifies your process, and it's going to dramatically increase the number of reviews you generate. So if you do that, you're going to get more reviews. You're going to see velocity in your review count. The next thing you want to do is respond to every review. And to do that, you're going to need a couple of things in place. First, you need a system where every review gets tracked and measured. Every review, regardless of source, Google, Angie's, Yelp, Thumbtack, you need a way to see, these are all the reviews that came in, where they came from. You need that visibility so you know what's happening and you can respond effectively. The second thing you need to do is assign ownership. Someone on your team needs to be responsible for responding to reviews, all of them, the good, the bad, everything in between. And that could be someone on your team, maybe an assistant or a company that you outsource this to, but someone has to own that. And you also need a strategy for handling negative reviews, because they're going to happen no matter how good you are. Someone might be unhappy with how the phone was answered. Maybe a planting that you guys didn't take so well and it's not growing, something in the experience, it happens, right? So you need to think through, who contacts the customer, how do we resolve it, how do we respond professionally so you can maintain control of your online reputation. And here's the interesting thing, negative reviews, when you handle them right, they can actually help you. We all want that 5-star reputation, right? But having the occasional negative review adds some authenticity. It shows people these are real reviews. They didn't just go out and buy all these reviews. And when you respond professionally, it can completely change the perception. And in some cases, that can even be the reason they choose you guys over a competitor. And so a great example, again, if we put this all together, Hunter Springs Landscape Artisans, if we go to Google and type in landscaper in their service area, they're coming up prominently on the map. And this is their 3rd month working with us. They're also showing up really well organically. Let's look at the results here. 4,500 invested in this month of marketing, 175 total leads. That's an average cost lead, $25.86. And then here's how the leads break down. 25 from organic, 50 leads from paid search, 97 from Google Maps. So you can see Google Maps is driving a huge portion of the results, which means their online reputation and reviews are driving a huge portion of the results. And not just for one keyword or one search, but across a wide range of searches that people are making in their service area on Google. That's the power of getting this dialed in. When your reputation is strong, when your reviews are consistent, when you're showing up well on Google Maps, you create a compounding effect across everything you're doing. More visibility, more trust, more clicks, more calls, and ultimately more booked jobs and more revenue for you guys. And the best part is it drives your cost per lead down too, while increasing your total volume. So instead of having to outspend your competitors on ads, you're outperforming them, because when someone finds you, it's obvious you're the right choice. That's really what I want you guys to take home today. If you implemented what we talked about, build it to into your culture, leverage your tools the right way, use automation, respond to every review, you can become the clear go-to lawn or landscape company in your area. More reviews, better reputation, more visibility, and more consistent, predictable growth. Judd Pirate Dorn, all 5.0 make most people leery. I totally agree with that. You want to see some negatives in there, as hard as it is, and we all know that those customers exist out there that will give you a negative review no matter what. So it's an opportunity to respond to the negative, show your professionalism, don't get defensive about it. It allows people to get a really good glimpse into your culture, and then the normal people are going to work with you guys. All right, so if you guys need some help with this, whether it's having us evaluate your current online reviews and reputation, auditing your website, running a ranking report, giving you a list of the most important keywords, or just talking through how to improve your results online, we'd love to connect with you. You can go to wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule, enter a little bit of information about your company and book a time to chat. You can call us directly at 585-497-3448 or scan the QR code here on the screen. Again, no pressure with this. We're just going to take a look at your current marketing. We're going to do a full audit, and we'll give you clear, actionable takeaways you can implement whether you work with us or not. It's sort of like one of these workshops just for your company. So if you're serious about getting more reviews, improving your reputation, earning more leads and more sales over, it's definitely worth having that conversation. So that's everything we really wanted to cover today, guys. If you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them into the chat. We'll stick around for a couple minutes and answer any burning questions here. Thank you. Very informative, Mark says. I appreciate that, Mark. Awesome. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for being here. I truly appreciate you taking the time. Spring is upon us, right? For those of you with us live, this is the time you have the largest opportunity to get all those jobs done, to collect more reviews, since many of you are going to be working on the most jobs this time of the year, especially if you're in the north. And if you apply what we talked about today, this can have a big impact on your results this season, and then especially leading into next season too. All right. Thanks again, everyone. We'll talk to you again real soon. Bye now.